2018, and Nathan Phillips Square will be the heart of the party here in Toronto. But elsewhere around the world, the new year has already begun. Wow, Sydney, Australia kicked off 2019 with its biggest fireworks display ever, lighting up the Harbour Bridge in a spectacular explosion of color. 3 hours later, it was Hong Kong's turn. There, the sky over Victoria Harbour was lit up in celebration. And take a look at Dubai, where fireworks launched from the world's tallest building. Back here at home, the clock to midnight is ticking ever closer. And if you want to ring in the new year with thousands of your closest friends, the best way to do that is at Nathan Phillips Square. That's where our party animal, Talia Ricci, is live for us tonight. Talia, I want to get a jump on things. Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year, Chris. And normally I would be a party animal, but tonight after this, I'm going to be ordering some Thai food and going to bed. But here tonight, we are expecting 60,000 people to fill this area. There's going to be a DJ skate party, live performances, and of course, fireworks. And earlier today, I spoke to Torontonians about what their plans were for tonight.
Just to give you an idea, this is the favorite of the day, the ribeye or rib steak.
At St. Lawrence Market, many were focused on the year's final feast.
3 lobsters, 3 filet mignon that'll go on the barbecue, and veggies and greens, and that's New Year's.
Veal's going to be the main course. Put on the barbecue, some potatoes.
I'm going to put together a great charcuterie board with some meats and cheeses and olives and crackers and bread.
While those strolling out of the liquor stores were saying tonight they would sip on something extra special to get into the spirit.
Netflix and chill with a nice reserve from Guatemala.
It's actually our wedding anniversary today, so we were thinking maybe getting a bottle of champagne to celebrate.
This is some good stuff, yeah? Some single malt scotch.
The plans at Ripley's Aquarium are a little fishy.
It's very cool because you get to touch the fishes and stuff like that. Feeling good about myself, getting a fresh start. That's how I'm gonna spend my New Year.
And tonight, the aquarium is hosting their second annual New Year's Eve Shell-abration.
You can sit there and watch the jellyfish for a while, but you can have a drink in your hand and some really nice hors d'oeuvres. So it's kind of a peaceful setting, a little different from Times Square in New York.
Parties will be happening across the city tonight as people reflect on the year that was and welcome 2019. At Nathan Phillips Square, police want to ensure the city's largest celebration is also a safe one.
We're going to be down at Nathan Phillips Square just on general patrols, making sure that things run smoothly to the extent that we have an impact on that.
Now, the events here tonight kick off at 8 p.m. and, of course, the fireworks will go off at midnight. You can also catch fireworks at Mississauga's Celebration Square and Brampton's Garden Square. Chris?
Enjoy your Thai food and have a great night, Talia.
Thanks, Chris. You too.
Probably a good night to stay in and have Thai food. You could see all that rain behind Talia. Hey, Nick?
Yeah, not just that, you can hear it coming down on the umbrella. Actually, it started earlier today. Good thing is if you are planning those late night plans outside, it's going to taper off to showers after about 10 p.m. or so, but it's still looking at a wet night all the way through until the late overnight period. It's all part of a big system that's moving across the eastern seaboard. For us, it's rain. North of us, though, it's actually snowfall. You zoom in closer, as I mentioned earlier on, we saw the rainfall starting. That was through about 2 p.m. or so in the city of Toronto and continued right through the afternoon. Some of the higher elevations seeing a little bit of a mix of rain and snow, and that's as temperatures are a couple of degrees above zero. Now, there's a few warnings associated with this. Down around the Niagara Peninsula, we're looking at winds, gusting to about 90 kilometers per hour. Further to the north, I mentioned there are snowfall warnings, about 10 to 20 centimeters of snow in the Ottawa River Valley, actually expecting to see a fair bit of freezing rain. For us, Temperatures are actually on the rise, which is a little bit unusual, but in advance of the system, we're going to climb up to 8 degrees, and that's going to happen right about midnight to about 1, 2 in the morning, and then temperatures are going to fall. Now, in advance of that, it's going to be rainy, changing to showers right around 10 p.m. or so, and then we're looking at some pretty gusty winds, initially out of the southwest, then colder winds out of the north as well, and tomorrow, first day of 2019, we usher in some colder weather as well, which feels a little bit more winter-like. We'll have more details on that and time the whole system out for you. It's coming up in just a bit, Chris.
All right, we'll see you soon.
You bet.
It's one of the biggest drinking nights of the year, but partygoers will not be the only ones out in full force tonight. Police say they're going to be out patrolling the streets, making sure nobody gets behind the wheel while impaired. I'm Greg Ross. I'll have that story coming up.
The Brampton woman at the center of a legal battle over what constitutes life has died. 27-year-old Takesha McKitty was declared brain dead by doctors last September following a drug overdose. Her family has been fighting to keep her on life support ever since. They were appealing a court ruling that allowed life support to be halted. Her family argued she was biologically alive, her heart beating with the help of a respirator, and that pulling the plug would be against the family's religious beliefs. Today, the family's lawyer says that McKitty's heart stopped beating this morning from natural causes. And Peel police are looking for a suspect in a robbery and sexual assault in a Mississauga park. It happened Saturday around 5:30 in the evening near Korea Park at Burnhamthorpe and Hurontario. A 34-year-old man was robbed by another man who had a weapon. The victim's personal belongings were taken and he was forced into a secluded area where he was allegedly sexually assaulted. The suspect is described as being 5'7", wearing a balaclava-style ski mask and a dark jacket. York police have one person under arrest, but are looking for 5 others after a robbery was caught on camera by mall shoppers. You can see a handful of suspects in construction vests using hammers to smash and grab at a jewelry store in the Markville Mall last night. Investigators say the 6 suspects then fled, but one was chased by an officer and arrested. They also believe the group planted a suspicious package at the Markham GO station just before the robbery to try to distract police resources away. Anyone with information on what happened is being asked to contact police. As we head into the holiday season, it can become harder and harder to eat right with all the cookies and sweets being offered. But a group of South Asian teenagers in Peel region have just wrapped up a program that gives them tools to cope with those types of temptations. They're part of a U of T pilot project to combat type 2 diabetes in South Asian Canadians. South Asians are up to 6 times more likely to develop diabetes than the general population. Adrian Chung shows us how the project aims to break that cycle.
Dinner time in Brampton. On the menu,
tomato mint salad.
South Asian classics like mango lassi smoothies are on tap too. But this isn't just any cooking class between kids and parents. It's part of a University of Toronto pilot program targeting South Asian teens in Peel region who are at a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
Since my dad got it, I'm worried I may also get it at a young age.
A diet high in fat and sugar coupled with a lack of exercise are major risk factors for type 2 diabetes.
The one thing that makes our community very unique is that, we migrated, right? And thinking about the process of migration and how that accelerates our risk.
South Asian Canadians are more likely than most other ethnic communities in the country to develop diabetes, and they're often developing it at a younger age.
The risk is highest in those areas that we live in that are developed, such as Canada, the US, and the UK. There's something going on that we don't know, that we need to start looking more at the root causes.
That's why researchers recruited 80 teens who have family members with type 2 diabetes.
His grandpa has diabetes. Now his dad also got diabetes.
From my mom's side, my grandmother has it. From my dad's side, my grandfather has it. So I have like 2 members of my family who actively have diabetes.
I have it for 23 years.
That must be very difficult.
It is. You learn to live with it.
The program focuses on how these teens can change their lifestyles and habits to avoid getting diabetes through hands-on lessons like getting their heart rate up, studying the nutritional value of fruits and vegetables.
So the rule of thumb is the more color on your plate, the different kind of antioxidants we get.
And learning how to prepare healthy meals for their families.
It's not just, as I said, we're making them sit in a room and we're being very didactic and telling them you need to exercise, you need to eat healthy, right? We're actually doing interactive sessions, we're having critical conversations.
The final results of the study will be released in the new year, but preliminary feedback shows 90% of the students say they're already making healthier food choices.
You want to make better options while you're still younger, so when you're older, then you adapt those habits as you go on in the future.
And more than 3/4 of them say they're not eating as much junk food.
So I've been trying to stay away from processed or packaged foods, so cookies and chips and stuff, but I still eat them because I'm a kid.
It's a start. Adrian Chung, CBC News, Brampton.
It's the last day of 2018, and for the past week, we've been looking back at some of the stories that shaped this year. As we head to break, here's a look at the top stories from July. The Danforth was the scene of a deadly attack that rocked the city in July. A gunman went on a rampage in Greektown, shooting into busy restaurants, killing 18-year-old Reese Fallon and 10-year-old Juliana Kozis, and injuring more than a dozen people. 29-year-old Faisal Hussein took his own life when police closed in on him. More than 200 additional police officers fanning out across the city at a cost of $15 billion, all part of an 8-week plan to combat gun violence. Tourist hotspots had extra eyes on them in the middle of the month. Officers stepped up patrols around places like the CN Tower and Rogers Center. Police would only say they had information warranting an increased presence downtown.
It is time to reduce the size and cost of municipal government.
Premier Doug Ford making his mark on Toronto City Council by announcing plans to cut it almost in half. Ford didn't mention it during the provincial election, but made it clear in July that he would reduce the number of councillors to 25 from 47, and he did.
I believe we need bold ideas in this city.
Jennifer Keesmaat announcing her run for the mayor's office in July. The former chief planner making her entry into politics by taking on incumbent John Tory, filing her papers just before the deadline to get into the race. Bombardier says they're sorry for the problems with the streetcars they've been delivering to the city. The president of Bombardier Transportation apologizing to the TTC's board after it found out almost 70 new streetcars would be sent back for repairs due to a welding issue.
It's been exhausting, to be honest. It's like 30 degrees.
Hot enough for you? That was the refrain as the city sat under a heat warning for close to a week. The stretch of sticky weather being blamed on a Bermuda high. The system brought hot and humid air from the Gulf of Mexico that lingered over the Great Lakes region.
To DeMar, left hand.
A fan favorite traded from the Raptors. DeMar DeRozan was sent to San Antonio in a blockbuster deal that brought star forward Kawhi Leonard north of the border. And a blockbuster deal putting smiles on the faces of Leafs fans. Toronto signing hometown boy John Tavares, the free agent agreeing to a 7-year contract worth $77 million US.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Bonne année, Paris. Just about 15 minutes ago, Paris ushered in the new year with a light show and fireworks on the Champs-Élysées at the Arc de Triomphe. Security was tight there tonight after months of political unrest. But that didn't dampen the party. About 300,000 people were expected to attend. Just like in Paris, the champagne will be flowing here tonight as people celebrate 2019. And police want partygoers to know they will also be out in full force tonight holding ride checks to make sure drivers are sober enough to be on the roads. Greg Ross is live in the entertainment district tonight. Greg, a lot of parties will be happening there and around the city.
That's right, Chris, and that means a lot of people are going to be drinking tonight. In fact, this LCBO here behind me actually closed at 6 o'clock, but it was lined up right until closing time, right out the doors, and it's still packed right now with some last-minute shoppers trying to get those drinks. Now, of course, a lot of those people are going to be going out to parties, but police are urging them to make sure that if they drink, they don't get behind the wheel of a car. And it's not just drunk drivers that police are cracking down on this year. This is the first New Year's Eve since marijuana was legalized in Canada, and police say they're not sure what to expect.
With cannabis being legal, people are allowed to do that, but they're not allowed to drive impaired.
And OPP Sergeant Kerry Schmidt says if you get behind the wheel while high or drunk tonight, they'll be looking for you with ride checks set up around the GTA.
We have our field sobriety tests that go on the side of the road. We have our drug recognition experts that do their tests in the office when people fail the roadside tests.
And the penalties are the same for driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs.
Automatic license suspension, automatic vehicle impoundments, criminal charges, and upon conviction, potential for jail time as well.
With new impaired driving laws in effect, fines have also gone up, and police have the right to test anyone they pull over. But this woman won't have to worry about that because she's hosting her own party. Are you going to make sure that they don't go and drink and drive?
Yeah, they're actually staying over.
But for those who are going out, there are many options other than driving. How are you guys getting there?
Walking, of course. Yeah, we're going to walk there.
The Heel Toe Express?
Yes, yes.
And make sure you let TTC get you home.
Exactly. Take the streetcar home, and it's free.
In fact, both the TTC and GO Transit are free after 7 p.m. this evening. Uber and taxi service will also be out in full force, but even with all those options and everything we know about the dangers of impaired driving, Schmidt says many people still aren't getting the message.
Over 140 charges just in the last 6 weeks in the GTA specifically.
And he says the OPP have handed out more than 1,400 impaired driving charges in the GTA so far in 2018.
Those numbers are very consistent with what we had last year as well. So the numbers are not changing dramatically higher or lower.
And in addition to those ride checks that are going to be set up around the GTA by police and OPP tonight, they're going to be back out on the streets tomorrow morning looking for anybody who may still be impaired from the night before, thinking they're okay to get behind the wheel of a car. Schmidt told me today that it takes about 12 to 14 hours for alcohol to get out of your system, and he says it's very important that you're careful when you wake up the next morning, that you don't just jump behind the wheel of your car. Chris?
An important warning. Thanks, Greg. Here's an idea for a New Year's resolution. For motorists still in the habit of reaching for their cell phones behind the wheel, give it up or face the consequences. Starting tomorrow, Ontario is bringing in some of the toughest punishments for distracted driving in the country. Sandra Abma has the story.
Bill Draver holding a cell phone in his right hand.
Officers from the Ottawa Police Service are on the hunt for distracted drivers. From the vantage point of a yellow school bus, police can look down into cars and catch motorists using cell phones.
We see him, now we can pull him over. We have the evidence.
10-4, thanks.
Then radio a chase car to pull that driver over. On January 1st, they'll be issuing tickets with hefty new fines and heavier consequences to motorists texting, reading, or chatting on a handheld device.
It's really going to cost you, but there's a reason for it, though. It's such a major infraction that it's right up there with impaired driving.
On January 1st, first-time offenders will be fined up to $1,000, receive 3 demerit points, and lose their license for 3 days. Penalties increase with each subsequent conviction. For new drivers, a first conviction results in a 30-day suspension, the second a 90-day suspension, and you're off the road indefinitely with the third conviction. According to police, distracted drivers are responsible for most of the fatal collisions that happen in the province. Even though motorists are aware it's a no-no, they continue to text and talk. Police hope tougher penalties will change that behavior.
So many ways that an accident can be caused, a fatality can happen. And the last thing I want to do is, especially at this time of year, is to do a death notification around Christmas.
Drivers we spoke to say they support measures that will put the brakes on distracted driving.
I think it should happen.
Why?
You see too many people with their heads and stuff down when they're trying to drive.
I see people texting all the time, and I think it's distracting, and I think it's a good idea.
I think that something needs to be done so that the roads are much safer.
The message is, put down that phone or get ready to pay the consequences. Sandra Abma, CBC News, Ottawa.
If you're looking to take transit tonight, you are smart because it's free, but if you're going to be walking, you're also smart, but you might need an umbrella. Just look at the sky there and all the rain. Nick Cernkovich is going to be with us in just a few minutes to time it all out for you. You are looking at a wetter than usual Niagara Falls today, where CBC will ring in the new year later tonight. Jerry D is hosting the event with special performances by Canadian musicians across the country, including Burton Cummings and the Sheepdogs, the Reclaws, Joel Plaskett, and others. It all starts at 11, and you can watch it right here on CBC television or online on YouTube or the CBC Gem app. And it's a good night to be inside, right, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I mean, if you're out late toward about midnight, I think it's going to taper off to showers, but pretty much right through, we're looking at rainfall still continuing, and it's all part of this system. Big, massive system moving across the eastern seaboard, bringing with it lots of rainfall and snow if you're a little bit further to the north. In the GTA, it's been raining since about 1 to 2 p.m. and it's continued right through the afternoon. It will continue into the evening hours tonight as well, tapering off to showers, though, closer to about the midnight hour. I mentioned the wind warnings down to the south. We've got snowfall warnings to the north, freezing rain warnings toward the Ottawa River Valley, and right in the middle here, Environment Canada has a special weather statement, including the City of Toronto, and that's for rainfall up to about 25 millimeters. Here's how it times out. So as we move through till about the midnight hour, it goes from steady rain to showers. And then we see showers continue on and off until it switches to flurries by the morning hours. And then by the afternoon, when most of you are probably waking up, it's going to be mostly sunny conditions across the GTA. In terms of how much rainfall we're expecting in total, we're looking at a general 15 millimeters of rain, maybe 20 millimeters of rain, although some areas with that special weather statement could see up to about 25 millimeters of rain, especially as you move further to the east across the GTA. But winds are also going to be a story as well. Right now, we're looking at winds out of the east, but as this system approaches, they're going to shift to the southwest. Some regions are going to see gusts to about 90 kilometers per hour. That's around St. Catharines and across the North Shore of Lake Erie there. But otherwise, we're looking at 30 to 60 kilometer per hour winds in the GTA, shifting to northwest winds by tomorrow, and that's going to make it feel cooler with the wind chills. Right now, we're sitting at 2 degrees. As we move through the overnight period tonight, temperatures will rise to 8 degrees and then start to fall by the time we hit tomorrow. By tomorrow afternoon, 2 degrees in the forecast, wind chill of -7, -4 for Wednesday, and then a warm-up as we move to the weekend. And a Happy New Year to you, Chris.
Thanks, Nick. Happy New Year to you as well. So tonight is the end of 2018, and that also means the end of our Sounds of the Season food drive in support of local food banks. So far, you've helped raise more than $711,000, plus nearly 19,000 pounds of food. You can also donate in person here at CBC or online at cbc.ca/sots. And we'll be collecting donations until the clock strikes midnight. And that is our show for tonight. Have a great night and a Happy New Year.